Hello and welcome to another beautiful day on the NC 500.
Good morning!
Right, we're on a campsite for 2 nights. So it's quite good because we can relax. The sites are near the campsite. So we're starting today at sorry, I thought a car was coming. Balnakeil Church. You've got Balnakeil Bay behind and it's beautiful. All the bays around here are beautiful. Where we're staying, it's just spectacular views down at the beach. So we're going to check out this church. I have been before, I'll be honest. I do know a few things about it. Some interesting people in there, so let's go take a look at the very old cranky church.
Yeah!
Donald MacDonald is the first grave I've come across there. I love that name. So we're inside the old church now. I just love how the ivy's all over it. Mazzy's attracted straight away to something in the corner.
It's really good.
Let me tell you all about it. It's a bad man, Mazzy.
Oh, okay.
A very bad man in that corner. Let me tell you all about him. So no one's used this church since 1814, but this church itself was built in 1619. But before that there was a church here which was like 722, the year 722, and it was one of the first ever Christian churches on mainland Britain. That's enough of the really boring stuff. Let's get on to the really nitty-gritty stuff. So inside the church there is one grave. Here it is. Donald MacLeod. Evil man. He killed at least 18 people. He took the bodies to Smoo Cave, which is where we're going next, and he threw the bodies down this big hole which went down to the bottom of the waterfall. And he did that because apparently the devil lived at Smoo Cave, and he would hide the fact that he'd killed all these people. So he was in cahoots with the devil a bit. So Donald killed these people for his boss, if you like. He was very loyal to his boss, he did his job very well, but he murdered all these people for no reason, just because they were annoying his boss. Now, one day later in his life, after he'd killed all these people, everyone knows he were killing people. It was no secret. Everyone in Balnakeil knew he were a murderer. Anyway, in his later life, there was like a priesty thing, a churchy man here. And he went up to Donald's door. "Alright, Donald, how are you doing?" "I'm alright, what do you want at my front door at this time of morning?" It was 8:30. He says, "I've heard you've been murdering people around these parts for the last 20 years. Donald says, well, yeah. So what are you going to do about it?" He were really mad, because he were accusing him of murdering people and stuff. But he had like 2 armed men with him, did this priest, just in case he tried to murder him. So he thought, well, I better not do anything, I'm going to keep me calm, I'm not going to lose my temper, I'll just let him go. So he says, "Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, I won't do it again. Bye-bye." Closed door. And then he put one of them stickers on saying, "No hawkers allowed." That was 3 days later. Anyway, he wasn't happy with this priesty guy, so his 2 sons came home. Now, he had 2 sons, did Donald. They were massive, and they were as evil as he was. They were big lads. And he said to the lads, he says, "Right, I want you to go get that priest, kill him, rip his heart out and bring it back to me. Nobody disrespects me just because I go around killing a few people." So his 2 sons go after this priest, but they see he's got these armed guards around him, so they know they can't get to him because they've got like guns and stuff. So instead they decide to just kill a sheep, rip its heart out and take it back to Dad. "Dad, we sorted him out, sorted that priest out, here's his heart for you. I hope you're proud of us." He says, "Yeah, thank you very much, well done." So he thought he'd killed him, but he didn't. So Donald made a lot of enemies during his life, a lot of enemies. And he knew when he was dead, people would be wanting to rip him out of his grave and rip his arms off and legs off and stuff. So he came to this church and he said to the priest here, it was a different priest to the one who we thought he'd killed. He says, "When I die, could I be buried in the church? I'd love to do that, if you don't mind." And the priest says, "Don't be stupid, no one gets buried in the church, can't you see? There's no other graves in the church. We don't do that kind of thing here." He says, "Well, what if I slip you £1,000? A lot of money that, in 1600s. Slipped him £1,000, it was like a backhander, just like that. No one else saw it. So he gave him £1,000, he died, and he did get buried here in the middle of the church. Here is his grave. Show them the grave, Mazzy. Here it is, this amazing tomb here. Now, we'll go into the writing on top of it in a little while, but it's fantastic writing, is that. Now, it's believed that it's half buried underground and half above ground. Don't know why. Do you know why?
No.
Or buried into the wall of the church or something, so that nobody could rip him out. Maybe he's cemented in or something. Don't know if it's true, might not be, I don't know. So let's take a look at some of the symbols on this amazing grave. Firstly, you've got a huntsman and a stag. Really, really well defined is that. So that tells me that he was probably a huntsman himself. There's also a sailing ship up here you can see. Absolutely fantastic. And down here you've got the skull and crossbones with memento mori above it. Do you know what memento mori means?
I have no idea.
It means remember that you've got to die. You'll see that a lot in Scottish graves from the 1700s.
What's it again? Sorry,
Memento mori.
Memento mori. Okay.
Yeah. So you will see on top of the grave here there's a lot of writing in Latin. Now, I'm sure you don't know Latin. Well, you might do. I bet someone does. There'll be some clever viewer who knows Latin. There's Latin anyway. Shall I tell them what it means in English?
Yeah.
Okay, if you read it from the top. Duncan McMorrock. Don't know why they're saying Duncan when his name was Donald. I don't know, I don't understand that. Duncan McMorrock, maybe that's another name he went by. Duncan McMorrock lies here. He was ill to his friends, worse to his enemies, and true to his master. That's what it says. Now, there used to be a font in here, a very, very old font, dating from when this church was first built back in 1722 or whenever it was. Stood here, a font from that old. Now, it was used for the Pictish people in the area. As I said, it turned all these Christians came over, one of the first Christian buildings in Britain. That font was used to baptise the Pictish people and turn them into Christians, and it stood there. It's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. It went missing.
Oh.
Yeah. If you'd have come here in 1983, you'd have seen it stood there very proudly, looking really cool and very, very old. 1984, someone nicked it. Just disappeared. Someone nicked the font. So if anybody knows where the font is from Balnakeil Church, will you please get in touch with the authorities? Because I do believe that should be back in its place. That's disgusting, stealing a font from a holy place. Should be ashamed of yourself if you're watching this. So can you see this on the floor here, Mazzy?
Yeah.
You're intrigued, aren't you?
I am.
Completely intrigued. Now see how it's round in the middle? Stood there used to be a big, giant pearl.
Really?
A giant pearl. And it's said that anybody who could keep possession of the giant pearl for 24 hours could have any wish they wanted.
Ooh.
Yeah. So a lot of people used to try it, but by the end of the day, the pearl would always return there. No one, for some reason, could hold on to the pearl for 24 hours. Don't understand why, really. Can't be that hard, can it? Just put it in a bag. You know, carry your bag around for a day. 24 hours later, you come back and you get any wish you want. I know what I'd wish for. Mermaids, Kylie Minogue and a party. So at some point, this pearl was wrapped in gold, right? They went to a lot of trouble, wrapped it in gold and put it back where it belongs. The next morning they turned up, the actual bowl which it sat in was cracked in two. As you can see it to this very day, it's all cracked. But the true story is, that's a legend, you see, it's not entirely true. The true story is that it is a knocking stone which was used to grind corn. It's not as exciting, that, is it? So there's two more important people who lay here to rest. This gentleman here is very important. He was known as the Robbie Burns of the North. He was a Gaelic poet, right? Born in 1714, and he used to have quite illicit, not lyrics. You don't have lyrics when you do poetry, do you?
No.
You know, quite controversial words in his poetry, his Gaelic poetry. He were a bit like Eminem of his day. You can imagine him walking around, can't you, with a cap back to front and stuff. He was one of them. Anyway, he could never speak English. He was Gaelic and never learned how to speak English. So he's called Rob Don, which I think is a really cool, you know, like a porno name. I think that's a really good name for a porno man. Rob Don. He was also known as the Burns of the North, as I've explained, and he was also known as the brown-haired Rob. So that is all I know about him, really. I don't really know much about him, but he definitely had brown hair. Right, let's move on, Mazzy. Just one more place to show them. In fact, I can't show them. I'll explain why in a moment. There is another grave here. It's Elizabeth Parks. Do you know who Elizabeth Parks is, Mazzy?
No idea.
She's a very important person.
Okay.
She's the auntie of the Beatle John Lennon. John Lennon's auntie lived in this area, and John Lennon used to come up here all the time. And he actually wrote a song about the place. It's called In My Life. Do you know how it goes? Do you know that song? Do you know that song?
Sing it for me.
Sing it for you.
Yeah.
There are places I'll remember all my life, although some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments with lovers and friends I can still recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. Enough of that, enough of that, enough of that. Anyway, Elizabeth Parks is buried in this cemetery. Now, we are not going to be looking for a grave today, simply because I've been here before. We had a really good look and couldn't find her. So I'm not going to waste my time, and it's raining. So the last thing of interest is a very tragic, sad story. In 1849, there was a ship called Canton, and I don't know if it was there or there, but it sank. Now, there was only one survivor of that trip. Everybody tragically died, apart from one person, or should I say one thing. It was a little black pig, and it swam to shore, and one of the locals picked the pig up. He says, "Ooh, it's the devil's just swum ashore." Why couldn't he just say, "Oh, it's a black pig"? Why did he have to think it was the devil? I don't know, I don't get that bit. But anyway, that was the only surviving thing. Now, everybody on that ship is buried in this churchyard, in an unmarked grave, in a mass grave, underneath a big bump. Now, I believe the big bump is right down in the far corner, which we're not going to because the weather is atrocious and there's nothing to see apart from a bump. So after this ship sank, things kept washing up on the shore. And it was even said that there was a priest, this is in written records is this, the priest was seen carrying a big barrel of brandy or something which had washed up on the beach, putting it on his back saying, "Oh, forgive me God, but I've got to have it." And he came back to the church with a big load of brandy on his back. And there were a load of money which was washed up, paper money. And one guy, one of the locals, apparently had it all on his floor in his room drying it out, all the money. True stories these aren't made up tales. So the deck house on the ship, you know, like the wooden bit in the middle where people would go in, there'd be a door, you know, and a captain would be in there. You'd have to knock on the door if you wanted to go in, unless you were the captain. Anyway, that little building thing, apparently that washed up ashore as well, and they used the wood from that. It was an Indian teak, and they used it to build a bothy, which was here until 1968. And the only remaining part of that ship to this day now is the chains and anchor, which can still be seen at low tide in Canton's pool. It's known as Canton's pool after the ship. So which part of the sea over there, I don't know, but you can still see remains of that sad, tragic story of the ship. The poor camera woman's very cold, aren't you?
I think he's a freezing.
And it's wet and it's horrible. Sorry.
It's alright.
You've not been in this video much, Mazzy.
No, it's alright.
You don't have much to say today. It's just one of them things, innit, where I don't shut up because I've got too many stories to tell. Anyway, this was Balnakeil Church, Balnakeil Beach. We're now moving on to Smoo Cave. We'll see you all very soon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.
Please comment and hit the like button. That helps our channel grow.
If you like what you see, click here to subscribe. Check out this other great video.
And if you really want to show your support, join the club, become a Patreon for extra videos and perks.
The more support we get, the more content we can give. We'll see you tomorrow
On
Travel Trolls TV.